Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest straight out of here. He's one of those rare things in British football, a manager who's more popular with the fans than a half-time pie. It is Mr. Harry Redknapp. Good job. Harry, you're looking dapper.
Okay.
You're looking dapper.
Jamie dressed me.
But doesn't he look great, ladies and gentlemen? You look like a made man out of Goodfellas. OK, so let's get this out of the way so we can talk more about your life and stuff like that. I was just talking with Frank about the England manager job. You looked like you were the favourite, you were well in the frame, and they passed you over. You must have been disappointed.
Do you know, John, in all honesty, the night that they announced the manager's job, you know, I was in a difficult situation. I was at Tottenham. Tottenham were going great. We're in Europe, and the club was, you know, the team were excellent. And then suddenly the England thing came along, and, you know, it was a difficult decision. I thought, you know, I was getting pushed towards it. People kept talking about the England job. The night they announced it, I'll never forget, I was sitting in my car. It came on the radio, and, you know, as a news flash, Roy Hodgson's been made England manager. It was almost a sense of relief for me. It wasn't something that I was absolutely crazy about. In all honesty, I was quite happy at Tottenham. The unfortunate thing was I lost my bleeding job at Tottenham a couple of months later. Other than that, it would have been good. So, but the choice they made, and I'm not just saying that, they made an excellent choice. Roy is a good coach, an excellent coach. He's been around the coaching scene a long time. He's managed at the top level. And I think he was ideal for the job, I really do, and I think he's doing a fantastic job.
Would you have done it differently? Would you have chosen a different team?
No, I was, you know, he had to play Frank, obviously.
Of course, you have to do that.
He got Tommy's uncle. I brought Jamie back out of retirement.
Get the whole family in. Get Louise out there.
On the bench.
But he used to get some stick, didn't he? From the West Ham fans in particular.
John, it was...
Because they assumed there was favouritism, didn't they, I guess?
He was... Listen, I don't know, I did I used to go to the fans' forums and people would say, why are you playing, why is Lampard playing, or whatever. He was a fantastic young player. He had the best attitude, and not because he's here, the best attitude of any kid I've ever come across, or any player I've ever come across since I've been in football. I've never seen anybody, well, I have only seen one person train as hard as him, and so determined to be a fantastic player as he was, and that was his dad. And that's where he got it from. Yeah. The old man was incredible, trained morning, afternoon and night, and the kid was the same. So when people used to criticise him, I said, listen, he's going to be a fantastic player. He'll play for England one day. Yeah. And I was spot on.
Wow. Let me ask you about football, how it's changed then, before we get, you know, so much to talk to you about, but back in the day when you were in your prime, okay, the money being paid to footballers was very different to the kind of money a Premier League footballer gets today.
Yeah.
What were you getting? What was the kind of...
Well, we started off on £6 a week, up to £7, then it went to £8 a week. But
so when it went to £8 a week, did you think, wow, I've really hit the
well,
big time?
I mean, we used to go coaching in the afternoon. We had a manager.
There's a picture of you there back in the day.
Oh, that's later on. I was at Bournemouth then.
That's when you were playing for Slade as well, and
I was at Bournemouth there. No, that was like after West Ham. Yeah. That was 10 years after.
And half-time, you're all out the back having a cigarette as well?
Having a cup of tea, yeah. Probably Jimmy Greaves, I mean, one of the greatest players ever to play football. Jimmy Greaves, the greatest goal scorer I've ever seen. Jim would have a fag in the toilet at quarter to three. Without foul, he'd have his suit on still, he'd go in the toilet, he'd have a fag, come out, take his gear off, didn't have a stretch, didn't stretch a muscle, put his boots on, stand by the door shaking his legs like that a couple of times, go out and score a hat-trick, and that was like, oh, well, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Wow. Wow. Those were the days.
Yeah, different world.
Harry's got a book out. There's a day of the year called Super Thursday, I think, when all the big Christmas sort of movies come out. This came out last week. This is the one that sold the most. Did you know that? Your book has sold the most of all?
It's gone to #1.
There's Harry's book. It's gone to #1. It's called Always Managing.
Yeah.
It's a great book. And you talk about not only your footballing career, but also the big tax case. There was about the time that the England manager's job was up there. And I was wondering, it doesn't seem to be the case, but do you think that was one of the reasons why they didn't offer it to you? Were they worried that there might be some heat of that? Or that you might be
John,
not available for a couple of years, if you know what I mean?
Well, I was thinking about if, you know, if I could train the team in Dartmoor or somewhere, if it happened, you know, I could keep them fit. But, no, I don't think that had anything to do with it, really. It was after the case and Capello had resigned. and the job was open and I was cleared, so... But I don't think that had any effect on it.
But that must have been a pretty horrible thing to live through.
Yeah,
I guess
it was.
you don't know which way it's going to go, and
No.
so you must have worried. You must have been concerned.
Absolutely. I had 5 years of it hanging over my head, you know, over something that we were talking, you know, it is a large amount, for sure. But in comparison to what I'd paid over that 5-year period, it was, you know... So it was a case really, it should never have gone to court, but it did, and it lasted 15 days, and, you know, the downside, when I asked my barrister the night before the jury came back what would happen to me, and he, you know, if I'm found guilty, and he said, you will get between 2.5 and 3 years.
Wow. So when you went back to court, the day you go back to court to hear the sentence, presumably, if they'd found you guilty, that's it. You go downstairs and that's it. So
Probably,
did
yeah.
you say goodbye to people? Did you say goodbye to your wife?
No,
before you
I
left, just
didn't
in
want to.
case?
No, I never wanted to put into Sandra's mind that could happen to me. I didn't tell her that, you know, that I could go to prison. I was worried that, you know, who are you going to share a cell with? All these things go through your mind if you're found guilty. What kind of a nutter am I going to be stuck with here? You know, it's a frightening thought, but. You know.
So you're still enjoying managing?
Yeah.
But in managing, am I right in thinking it's one of those jobs where everyone sitting at home in their armchair, everyone thinks they can do better?
Yeah.
But is there one time, I guess people think they can play as well, isn't there some sort you actually bought someone a fan or someone who was screaming insults behind you and you actually brought them on to play?
Yeah, I took a team to Oxford City for a pre-season game. I was manager of West Ham. And you know, it was a lovely sunny evening. And we started the game, and there was a guy next to the dugout, big West Ham fan. He had hammers tattooed on his arms, and he had the earrings in, hammers on them. And he started after about 2 minutes. Harry said, we ain't got that Lee Chapman up front again this year. We ain't going to get a decent striker. He kept on about Chapman all first half. He wouldn't leave me alone. What's he doing, Harry? He's useless. Why are you playing him again? Anyway, half-time, I made 5 substitutions and put the subs on. It was a friendly game. So the subs go on, got no more subs. After 2 minutes, we get an injury. So now I've only got 10 men. So I turned to him, he's still shouting at me. I went, oi, I said, can you play as good as you talk? He said, I'm better than that Chapman. I went, come on then, get your gear on, we'll have a look at you. He went, what do you mean? I said, you're playing. He said, who for? I said, well, West Ham. He said, I ain't got any boots. I said, what size are you? He said, 9s. I said to Eddie, the kit man, Eddie, get him a pair of boots. Takes him up the changing room. He gets changed. He comes waddling back. He's got feet like this, right? Skinhead, tattoos everywhere, earrings in. Gets to the touch, he's coming on. He said, where do you want me to play? I said, go up front. I said, I want to see if you're better than Lee Chapman. So he goes
so hold
on.
on, this was just, you just had it with him just giving you the...
stick all through the
whole
game.
time, yeah.
So he's gone on. The guy comes down, true story, from the tannoy system, the assistant, comes down, he wants to announce on the tannoy who's coming on, so the people know who's on. He said, Harry, who's the sub? Who's number 16? I said, who's number 16? I said, ain't you been watching the World Cup? Chichi Shaev, the Bulgarian striker. He went, oh, I thought it was him. And he came on, played up front. He came on, played up front, scored a goal. And I've got to be honest, on the night, he was better than Chapman.
Oh, that's great. The book is a great read. Always Managing is Harry's autobiography. It's out now. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much. You're a terrific guest.
Thank you.
Harry Redknapp, ladies and gentlemen.